This is Jimi Hendrix, and this is episode 4 of Energetic Living. Do hard things. Okay, we are here in the clubhouse. And how do you do hard things? Over to you, Dr. Paul Jenkins. Okay? Paul Jenkins from Live on Purpose Radio. I get a lot of insights from him. So how do you do hard things? Over to you, Dr. Paul Jenkins.
A good place to start is to clarify why. Why do hard things? That sounds hard. Yeah, that's why we call them hard things. Why do hard things? I've learned this. You get to have either hard, easy, or easy, hard. And what I mean by that is often when we choose to do the easy thing now, we set ourselves up for a harder existence later on. Good example, I don't feel like exercising. That would be hard. So I choose to do the easy thing now, which is to avoid exercising. And then I set myself up for a harder existence later on when my health crashes. I had a friend who told me, you know what, Paul? You pay for your health now or later. One way or another, you pick one. You do an easy thing now, you set yourself up for a harder existence. Check it out the other way around. What if I do the hard thing now? Well, then I set myself up for an easier existence later on. Using the same example, if I do the hard thing now and just go exercise, get myself out of bed, get myself into my gym shoes and go, that's hard, right? But it allows me to be more fit and healthy and have more energy in the long term. So you get hard easy or easy hard. Pick one of those. And let's start teaching our kids about that too. In fact, I did another video for teaching kids how to do hard things. You can link to it right up there. You click on that card and it will queue it up for you to watch it again later. That'll give you some insights as a parent. Back to our hard easy, easy hard. We have to be clear about what it is that we ultimately want. And there's an approach avoidance conflict.
Okay. Approach avoidance conflict. You know, I've never heard of it that way. Have you ever wanted to avoid approaching something that's hard? Let me tell you something, I know I have. Now, we're going to go back to Dr. Paul Jenkins and see what he has to say. And then eventually I'll talk to you here in a little while.
That we run into. This is a psychological term that basically means there's a lot of reasons you want to do this thing, but it's hard, and so there's a lot of reasons you don't want to do this thing too. That's the approach avoidance conflict. I saw this demonstrated very powerfully. Back when I was in graduate school, one of my professors was working with a young man who was trying to earn his Eagle Scout Award. Now, to do so, he needed a swimming and a life-saving merit badge, which meant that he had to get into a pool. Well, the problem is, he's afraid of the water. Didn't know how to swim. Okay, so this is a dilemma, right? He wants the Eagle Award, but he doesn't want to go in the water. That's the approach avoidance conflict that I was talking about. How do we overcome that conflict? Well, my colleague had a plan, and he worked it out with the kids' parents. He brought a $50 bill in a little Ziploc bag.
Pearls, my friends, pearls. Now, call to action. The approach avoidance conflict. Let me put it in more generic terms that I heard from motivational speaker Del Toro McNeil from his book, Caught Between a Dream and a Job. Okay? I want you to think about this. Caught between a dream and a job. He said, you've got to get rid of, I don't feel like it. Okay? You've got to get rid of, I don't feel like it. And, I don't know, it's like, this afternoon, I knew I was going to be doing a podcast in my, I don't do it very often, but it's a podcast I do called LDS Motivations, where I make podcast talks to members of the church, mostly local, okay? Mostly local within the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. But here's what the Delatorro McNeil said. The world is ran by people who don't feel like it. But they do it anyway. Plain truth? Yeah, plain truth. Okay, so there may be times I say plain truth in this podcast to mean something very important. Because you just get up and do about it. Something Delatorro McNeil is fond of saying. Okay, this is not a church setting, so I'm just going to go ahead and do this anyway. I'm going to kind of copy a little bit from him a little bit, maybe add a little bit more flair of my own. You've got to get off the nail, okay? Now, there was this lady one morning, and she's jogging around in the neighborhoods and everything, and she hears this dog barking. The dog keeps barking. You like my barking? Anyway, she's kind of like... she keeps on jogging, and she keeps hearing the barking. All of a sudden, the lady stops at the front porch. I'm trying to contain myself here. And she says, "Sir, why is it your dog barking so much?" And the man, he had a straw in his mouth. He took the straw out of his mouth and said, "Well, ma'am, he's on a nail." And she's like, "Ouch, what in the world is he doing on a nail? You think he'd get off it. And the man, he takes the straw out of his mouth. He says, "Well, ma'am, obviously it doesn't hurt enough." And this is not what it's like with us when we find it hard to do hard things. We're so busy thinking that we can sit there and complain about it, and think about it, and argue about it instead of getting up and doing about it. We get this person that calls us, and we think it's doing us some good, but we know in some ways that it's not helping our progressions as human beings. And sometimes it takes blocking that particular number, limiting certain contacts with social media. Ooh, I said a bad word, did I not? Some of us don't like that. But one of the things concepts I come up with in Empower Your Pattern is reactive culture. Okay? Reactive culture. And our reactive culture, when it comes to talking to and approaching my hard things, I don't do that. I don't do that. Well, why not? Come on. Don't be whining about it. I don't do that. I don't do that. Come on. You make me laugh whining about it. But I gotta say, sometimes I get guilty about that. Just laying around whining. And finally I've had to, a couple nights ago, I've had to literally shake myself like, okay, Jimmy, get a grip. Get a grip. And so that's what we have to do sometimes. We have to get a grip. We have to tap into what we know. We have to know that we're cared about. And that God loves us, and God called us to be on this earth to do hard things. Okay? Do hard things. How hard is that? Because I'll tell you something, there is nothing like it, being able to do hard things. I did that podcast, even though I planned on having better material, better preparation. But I was listening to my best friend. He was doing a podcast. And some of the stuff that he said, that in a religious setting, and I'm not going to go into particulars, inspired me to come out and talk. So there we go. It's about doing hard things. And so doing hard things is important for us to begin to tap into if you want to understand what's going on here. You think about what it says in Matthew chapter 24, verse 13. But he that endureth to the end, the same shall be saved. As much as I hate it, as much as you hate it, we all have to endure hardship, right? We all have to endure hardship, and it's hard. I get that. I know that. Sometimes it's hard to do. You've got to do the hard things. I remind you what President Theodore Roosevelt said. He said, I wish to preach not the doctrine of ignoble ease, but the doctrine of a strenuous life. And so we're called to do hard things. I know you can't see it, but I have an armband that says, do hard things. So I hope you're ready to go out there and do those things. Let's say you know you have a college algebra test next Wednesday. You don't like college algebra. It's not your strongest suit. But you got to get in there and study for it. You got to get in there and study for it and do the hard things so that you can tap into it. Or say, you got a physics test that hard week, that following week. And you're like, oh man, college algebra one day, physics the next. I don't know what's up with that. And then you got an English test, you test, and you're like, oh cool. Do the hard things. Do the hard things. How hard is that, huh? Guys, we're blowing the lid off this sucker. In fact, in several episodes, we are going to blow the lids off of this sucker. Because the energetic living, I'm going to have this as kind of a motivational thing. Unfortunately, I have the whole Empower Your Pattern radio off Spreaker. So this kind of replaces it while, on YouTube it's Empower Your Pattern 2.0. Doing hard things. How hard is doing hard things if we really apply ourselves? Think about it. It's important to begin to tap into it. How to do hard things. Alright? Now this is going to be one of the things that this is going to be one of the capstone episodes, one of the foundational episodes of energetic living. So I want you to pay close attention to what I have to say. Okay? So, I want you to be ready, because here we go. This is Jimi Hendrix saying goodbye for now, and until next time. Don't do what others don't, so you can be what others won't. Do hard things, and live the strenuous life. The energetic living. God bless.